Justin, congratulations. Welcome to Chicago.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I imagine these last 3 months have been exhausting for you in a lot of ways. I'm sure you probably haven't been through a process that has been so microanalyzed in terms of picking apart your skill set, your strengths, your weaknesses. I'm curious, what of the criticisms over the last 3 months sort of impacted you the most, and how you kind of dealt with that over the last 3 months?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been a lot of criticism, but me, at the end of the day, I feel like I know, myself. I know how much work I put in the game. I know how much I love the game. I know how much I want to be great. So it just comes a point in time where you just have to cut, all that criticism out. And of course, it's good to listen to the criticism you get from, people that are, actually there to help you. So if it was from a coach or anything like that, of course, I'm going to take that criticism. But I feel like, of course, there's a lot of, criticism coming from outside voices that didn't really matter. So I just, did my best to kind of cut all that out and really just get to work. So
what was tonight like for you, just sitting through those first 10 picks before you got the call at 11?
I'm the kind of guy that thinks that everything happens for a reason. So I think, this is God's plan for me to be a Bear. So I'm more than excited, and I'm, more than ready to get up there for sure.
Pat Finley, Chicago Sun-Times.
Hey, Justin, how did you find out that you were going to the Bears? What was that phone conversation like? And during the pre-draft process, did you have any hint that this might have been the outcome?
Yeah, so basically, Coach Nagy called me up and just asked me if I was ready to be a Chicago Bear, and I told him, of course. I mean, so of course the phone call went well. Coach Nagy's a great coach. He's a great person. I got to build a sort of a relationship with him these past couple of months. But just talking with him a little bit, getting to know him, and then of course going back to hints. I don't think I had any hints. I had no idea, to be honest with you. So I was confident in myself. I guess to wherever I ended up, I was gonna be in the right place for me. So again, I'm excited.
Adam Hogue, NBC Chicago.
Justin, what can you tell us about, you mentioned building that relationship with Coach Nagy. What was it, over Zoom calls? It's your pro day, any interactions? Can you be a little bit more specific about all that?
Yeah, I would say most of it was during Zoom calls. Of course, we did, have a little bit of conversation at my pro day, but most of it, through Zoom calls, and it's just, of course, just talking and, getting to know him, not only as a coach, but as a person. So I'm pretty big on, having great relationships with my coaches. I think, that's the most effective way to, be great and kind of be, cooperative as a team. So just mainly through Zoom and a little bit at my pro day.
Larry Mayer, ChicagoBears.com.
Hey, Justin, what type of player and person would you say the Bears are getting in yourself, and what do you think is your number one strength?
I mean, I think the kind of player the Bears are getting is a versatile player that can, make plays both with my arm and also with my legs, and of course a smart player, a player that's going to make smart decisions, and a player that, that wants to win, that's willing to do whatever, to win. So that's of course my number one job, however that may be, whether, whatever my position may be on the team. But my number one strength, or was that the next question?
Yes.
My number one strength, I would just say my overall, not even my overall, but just, showing up in big moments. I feel like when big moments present themselves, I feel like, there's just another thing that kicks inside of me. But just I think capitalizing in big moments, and of course, playing well on big stages, I think that's definitely one of my strengths for sure.
Kevin Fishbane, The Athletic.
Hey, Justin, going back to Matt Nagy, based on your conversation with him and getting to know him, how do you think you fit with what he wants out of a quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I think I fit, perfectly. I think if he didn't think I fit well, he wouldn't have traded up. But I think, just talking to him, getting to know, I guess, how he communicates with his quarterbacks and his learning style. I think that, that's going to make me a better quarterback, a better player. And, he's going to teach me a lot. So I'm just, again, excited to get up there and learn.
Chris Emma, 670.
Justin, this is a franchise that struggles trying to find a franchise quarterback. What do you believe makes you the kind of guy who can be that quarterback for the Bears and for Chicago?
Just the way I carry myself, just the way I, care about the game, the grit I have, the determination I have to be great. I think, nobody kind of has a story that I have. So just everything inside of me, just wanting to be a great quarterback, wanting to be a franchise quarterback. And of course, me dreaming for this moment my whole life. So I think, all those intangibles, my work ethic, and all of that together will, of course, be different for me.
Leisure, Chicago Sun-Times.
Justin, how much do you think the college experience will translate for you, given that you played at a big program and played against a lot of big programs like Alabama and Clemson? You've been on that stage.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think, it'll translate well, especially with the fan base. I know that, Bears fans are very passionate about the football, and, of course, so is Ohio State. So it's really kind of going, I guess, kind of in the same, aspect of things in terms of, seriousness and in terms of, a passionate fan base. So I think it'll definitely translate well, though, for sure.
We have time for two more here with Justin. Matt Zahn, CBS.
Justin, I know you said everything happens for a reason, but I assume you think you belonged among those top 3 quarterbacks. Does that put a chip on your shoulder as you come in to try to prove those guys wrong that didn't pick you up earlier?
No, not really. I mean, I've gone through situations where I haven't been chosen, and I think the world has seen the outcome of that. But my goal is not to worry about those teams. I mean, those teams have nothing to do with me. My goal is to, if we play that team, to beat them. So I'm not worried about the draft. The draft is over for me. For me personally, I'm ready to get to work.
Last one, Bill from the Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Justin. Congratulations. How hard was it just waiting? Everyone thought you were going to be a top 10 pick, and to not be a top 10 pick. Mm-hmm. How much did that bother you? What was your family like during that? How much did they kind of
yeah. I mean, just like I said, I felt like, my family was, more nervous than me, but I've been in so many, different situations in my life where, I think I want something. I think I, want to do this, but, God has a different plan for me. So just like I said before, I put, my full trust in God, and, he's put me in a perfect place for me, and, whatever his will is what's going to happen. So, again, I'm excited to be a part of this organization, and, just ready to get to work.
Thanks, and congratulations.
We're all set for now. Thank you, Justin, and congratulations again.
Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for waiting. I know it's been a late night. I appreciate you guys waiting. Obviously, a lot of excitement through our building tonight. We feel really fortunate to be able to get Justin, in the area of the draft. We were able to select him. The excitement throughout our whole building, you can feel it as I walk down here tonight. What he's going to do for the future of our organization. There's so much, guys, that goes into this process, as you well know, but starting with Matt and our scouts and our coaches as we build into this moment and into tonight. But I think, when we select a quarterback, the situation that quarterback is coming into is critical. And I think we provide a great situation, as I kind of alluded to a couple of days ago, for that quarterback's development to happen. Matt has spoken to Andy Dalton tonight. That communication and clarity for us is really important. Andy is our starter. And we're going to have a really good plan in place to develop Justin and do what's best for our organization to win games. So with that, I'm sure you guys got a lot of questions, and I'll be happy to answer them.
Jeff Dickerson.
Hey, Ryan, can you take us through kind of you and the other people in the draft room were thinking as you saw that, hey, there's still 2 quarterbacks left as you're getting to the 10th and 11th pick? And how do you know when is the right time to go and make that move?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of patience, Jeff, that comes with that. To be honest, that can be difficult. And, over the last couple of days, once the board's set, the remaining days have really been going through all these different scenarios that could happen. And as you can imagine, there's so many different variables and so many different situations. And we talk out every single one of them, right? And so we had, multiple plans tonight. And the way the board was falling, we got excited when the quarterbacks kind of came off that way and Justin continued to fall. And so for us, it was just executing our plan, at the right spot in the draft and being patient with that, which sometimes can be difficult. Fortunately with the Giants, I've known Dave Gettleman for 20 years. He's an amazing person, an amazing general manager, and we go way back. So that communication, started really this morning about the possibility of something like that happening. And when we were able to execute it in the draft, and I just feel real fortunate.
Adam Johns.
Hey, Ryan, when you were looking at Justin this past season, I know it was condensed because of the pandemic, but I'm curious, his last 3 college games, struggles against Northwestern, comes back against Clemson, he had the Alabama game. What resonated with you specifically, and then maybe Matt, from those final 3 games of Justin's college career?
Yeah, I feel like, we've talked about him for a long time now. Matt has a good relationship with Ryan Day as well. But it's just, Adam, it's just the combination of factors that he has. It's the arm talent, it's the accuracy, it's the athleticism. When you see a guy with that kind of arm talent, with that kind of quarterback makeup that he has, with that kind of work ethic, that's played in really big games and really big moments and performed in big moments, that's extremely tough. I was at the Michigan game a couple of years ago when he came back in from a knee, and we know about the ribs and the hip. And I mean, this guy's toughness on a scale 1 to 10 is an 11. And you just love that about him. Oh, and then by the way, he runs a 4.44. So you throw that all in together, and it just feels good.
Dan Wiederer.
Ryan, a little 2-pronged question here. First on follow-upping to JD's question earlier, when you were in that 7 to 10 range there, can you take me through your own personal emotions of waiting out some quarterbacks that might have pulled the trigger on a quarterback and then seeing that you were going to get that done? And then just follow up on Justin, in your pre-draft interactions with him, what left the biggest impressions on you in the Zooms and the other times that you were able to connect with him?
Yeah, I think we knew there was going to be a sweet spot, Dan, for us to be in that quarterback world, and right in this area was kind of it. So it just required a little bit of patience to get to that point, and kind of what's fair for us and what's fair for the other club. You got to be realistic to do these trades. You're not, and I thought this one was very fair. So it kind of played out that way. And, again, we started making a lot of those phone calls this morning with those teams in that area, and just trying to find out what was a reality. And this one was, so it worked out, but we were making phone calls all along there in that whole area, all in that range. And I guess what stood out with him in all of our interviews, and we've done a lot of them, we were also at his second pro day, is just like his focus and like how serious he is, and like that determination that he has. I think you guys will feel it when you talk to him. If you already have, just, he's really locked in. His desire to be great. You can feel that when you speak to him.
Brad Biggs.
Hey, Ryan. There was a report not too long ago that Justin has epilepsy. Where are you guys at with that situation and maybe the medication required to keep that under control? Yeah, that's something you can talk to him about too. But, I know he's handled a lot of those things, throughout his life. And, we have a lot of ties into the Ohio State football program, and our doctors and trainers do a great job. And a shout out to those guys, Andre Tucker and Dr. Bowen and Dr. Katz, and all the work that goes into that preparation. Brad, you know how important it is. It's the skill evaluation, it's the character, and it's the medical. And I thought the medical was more difficult this year, but I thought our guys did an unbelievable job, and we were very comfortable with that.
and how he handles that. You know, we've dealt with something similar in the past with different players over the years, and we're completely fine with it.
Pat Finley.
Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Hey, Pat.
Did you think going into today that you would have this opportunity?
Oh man, to be honest, I kind of had like three plans, and one was, the first plan was, hey, is there going to be an opportunity to go up and get a quarterback? You know, and let's see if we can make that happen, right? That's the first plan. If that doesn't happen, we had another one for some movement, maybe for some other positions that would be valuable positions for us that would also hit some needs and match our board. And then the third one was to stay put. And luckily, Pat, plan one executed.
What were the other positions?
I'll tell you after the draft.
Adam Hogue.
Hey, Ryan, how much did Matt Nagy's experience in 2017 and the way that Pat came along that season behind Alex Smith play into not only what happened tonight, but maybe going back to March and just the whole plan here with Andy and Nick and what you guys have in that quarterback room right now?
Yeah, because I think, Adam, like getting him is one thing, but for us to surround him and develop him is the other thing. I mean, we talk about you can draft the players, but you have to develop them the right way. And that's what I love about the environment that we have. And Matt, as you said, he has the blueprint. Like they did an awesome job with Patrick coming into Kansas City, with Alex there. And Matt and I have talked about that a lot that year and how it was handled. And he kind of has a blueprint on how that was, you know, how that whole situation went down. And what I love about our environment is the veteran quarterbacks that we have in that room. Like, I don't know if you look around the league, how many teams have that kind of experience in the room. And then the coaches that we have surrounding that position. And I can't say that enough. Like from Matt to Laser to Flip. I mean, Flip, he is one of the best coaches in the league at developing quarterbacks. I really believe that. And he is so excited tonight. And Laser's excited and Matt's excited about the opportunity to do that, but at the right speed, because that's what matters, is developing this guy. The process and how we do that is important. We got a good plan in place to surround him with the right resources to develop him the right way.
Kevin Fishbane.
Hey, Ryan, when Matt went to that, was at that second pro day that Justin had, and what was some of the feedback that Matt gave you, just being able to watch him in person that afternoon? Yeah,
we went to pretty much all these top pro days, which was challenging this year because, we could only bring 3. That was the limit. So it was always Matt, myself, and Josh Lucas. We also sent Laser and Champ Kelly to his first pro day. So we were able to go to both of them and get a lot of eyes on them. And I think just seeing the ball come off his hand, the velocity, the way the ball comes off his hand, how natural that is. I think seeing him up close in person too, you see like just how he's built, like the muscular stature, how dense he is. I think that explains the durability that he has and the toughness that he has. And then just being out there, hanging at the pro day, spending some time with their coaches as he's working out. Matt had a lot of good conversations with Ryan Day. Like I said, he knows him well. But seeing the ball come off his hand live was important for us. I had seen him play live a couple of times, but I think being there, Matt and I, side by side, that was really valuable.
A couple more for Ryan. Mark Potash.
Hey, Ryan. You obviously seem to have be pretty resolute about the development factor with Fields, but will you and Matt give yourselves any chance to see exactly what you've got here, and that maybe this guy's skill is so much different from Andy Dalton's that he might be your best quarterback this year?
Yeah, I think we just got to let it play out, you know what I mean? And let it play out. I think one of the best feelings in the world would be, hey, we're rolling, we're playing really good football, we're winning, and we're looking over there and we're seeing this guy, and we all know, everyone in the building knows that, hey, we got a guy, but I think, Mark, there's a lot, as you know, man, like as these guys coming into this, even all the experiences they have at the college level, growing in, watching tape, reading defenses, working in the huddle, Matt jokes, Patrick's first time in the huddle. These guys haven't really even been in the huddle the way the college offenses are. And so Matt, will always tell me a story. Patrick's first time in the huddle, his first practice, he's screaming as loud as he can. He's like, dude, you don't got to scream. You're in a huddle, and it's just so new for these guys. But it'll be a daily process, a daily evaluation, as you said, Mark. But we're excited to let that play out.
Thank you. Jason Leisure.
Ryan, when you threw out his 40 time there, it made me wonder how much you guys envision letting him play the way that he played in college versus projecting what you think you could turn him into. And if it's the former, are we going to see something from the Bears offense that we really haven't seen?
He provides something, that element with your legs. When we talk to these defensive coordinators, Jason, like when we interview defensive coordinators, this after the season, they all fear these athletic quarterbacks. It adds a whole another dynamic they have to defend. And a lot of guys have it, a lot of guys don't. And he has that. So I think, Jason, there's a balance with making sure that you're maximizing that and using that, but you're not putting him at risk either, And I think he has that. And I think, again, the other thing that he has, Jason, which I thought was really good to see live, is he has the body type to handle the rigors of our game, and be able to do those things where some guys, you might worry about that a little bit more with their body structure, but he's got a muscular body type. He's extremely athletic. He knows when to get smart and avoid those type of hits. But again, that speed is real. And I think we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't utilize all areas of his game, all strengths of his game. And one of those is his mobility.
Chris Emma.
Ryan, you saw with some of the struggles that Mitch had during his time coming in as a top quarterback pick. What about Justin's makeup makes you believe that he can handle the emotional and mental challenges of being a Bears quarterback?
It's a big one, man. Coming into the quarter into any NFL team, it's a big step. But what I love about this, Chris, is the environment that he's coming into. I really do. I love it. I love going through this whole process with Matt. I love the coaching staff that we've assembled, and I love the quarterbacks in that room. And so I just think he's coming in to an awesome environment to develop at the right time.
We have time for one more. Dan?
Ryan, Matt talks all the time about the touchdown to check down mentality. And obviously it's something that Justin has shown on the college level. I'm wondering what left an impression on you about that, and what you make of some of the questions about his ability to go through reads in a efficient and speedy manner.
Yeah, I think, and there's a lot of research, and we have a lot of ways to study those things, and we've invested in a lot of areas in our building that help us analyze those type of things that you're talking about, Dan. That's pretty cool. But one of the best things he does is I like his aggressive approach, like the vertical passing game and how aggressive he is in that area. And you saw it throughout Ohio State. And I think, he has all those tools. He has all those arm strengths. Now it's on us as a staff to refine those and develop those. And I know he's going to be open to that. And that's what's exciting about it.
Thanks, Ryan, and congrats.
Thanks, guys. See you tomorrow.
Darnell, there are a lot of guys with your talent or even more that come out of college and don't have the kind of success that you had as a rookie. What would you tell guys that might get drafted this year? What's the secret? What's the playbook to get on the field and make an impact right away like you did?
Just being yourself and just like having the mindset of just coming in and just wanting to just help the team at any way, any form or fashion. Like whenever your number is called, just being able to be ready. I think the best thing is like when your number is called, just be ready and just take advantage of it.
What about before all that though? Specifically, I mean, how do you get yourself in that position to be ready when you get the opportunities?
I mean, it starts before you get here. So like right now, I feel like it started when they ended their college careers. So after that, they should have been working then, just knowing how the off season will go and how you have to work out by yourself, how you have to be able to train and just be a professional athlete and just being able to just be your own person. And you don't have anybody just, hey, wake up, get here, get there. And just learning that stage before you get here. And then when you get here, you're able to just play ball.
Dan Wiederer.
Darnell, as you reflect on the last 12 months of your journey, not only getting sort of settled and established in the NFL, but doing so in a very unorthodox year, what strikes you and what stands out to you about the ability to kind of do that in very unusual times?
I feel like, I mean, there's always things thrown at you. You just have to take it on, and it doesn't matter really what it is. You can't control everything. Anything in your ability that you can't control, just use that. And I mean, you said it was a different year, but next year can be an even more different year. So you never know what you have the ability to control. So
Pat Finley.
Hey Darnell, do you plan on going up to voluntary workouts in mid-May when you get to phase 2? And you heard we asked A-Rob the same question, but did you get vaccinated yet?
I haven't got vaccinated yet, but I'm looking forward to going to workouts. I mean, I feel like it'll be a team thing, but I mean, I'm around town now, so I mean, I haven't went anywhere.
Steve Leventhal.
Yeah, hi, Darnell, and congratulations. Your position coach banters threw some words out like courage, loyalty, and teamwork. And I just wanted to know, how do you feel that those represent your values as a player and as a person?
I feel like I'm a good teammate, I mean, I'm not the most vocal person, but I feel like I can be that at times. I can speak my opinion, and just being able to have the courage, like you said, just being able to step forward and just be a great player on our team, and just being able to make plays at the right moment and whenever my number is called.
Colleen Kane.
Hey, Darnell, I had a question about workouts too. You mentioned that going on in May 17th would be a team thing. Have you had conversations with teammates, and what has that been like? Like, how have you been staying informed about what you guys are going to do as a group?
I don't think it has been a decision yet, but I feel like the Bears organization is doing a great job of just where we are now, and then giving us more information when we get to that level. I mean, that date. So
a couple more for Darnell. Adam Hogue.
Hey, Darnell, you obviously heard us asking questions to A-Rob about, his contract, the franchise tag, and all that. What have you come to admire about him sort of sorting through all that last year, putting it aside, dealing with it, playing through the season, and still coming through winning an award like this?
It just shows another great thing he's been able to do. Like, man, he amazes me every time he does something. Like, even when he was just talking in here, like, it was just crazy of just like the good answers he was giving, and just like how knowledgeable he was. And every day he amazes me and just adds a little bit more into me, not just in my game, but just me as a person. And I mean, I've been watching from afar of all that situation. I feel like that's just a part of it. But he did a good job of just being able to set all those things aside. It wasn't in his control. I mean, he was just able to just play ball, and he had an outstanding year. It was a crazy year, and I feel like he'll have another one this year.
One more here, Dan.
Darnell, obviously these questions about attendance next month are part of the business side of the league. As a young player, how do you describe sort of the awkwardness and the difficulty of trying to navigate what is a situation that may not be up to your own decision? And if it was left up to you as an individual, would you prefer to be there May 17th when the on-field work would begin?
I mean, last year I wasn't able to get a feel for like OTAs or whatnot. So I don't know how OTAs work out. I don't even know what we're supposed to be doing right now. So, I mean, I wouldn't have an understanding of why people would want to go and why people would not. So this is my first year coming, just like everybody else, or just like other rookies. So I wouldn't know what's going on.
Does it feel a little awkward to kind of be left in that sort of uncertain territory?
I mean, I'm down with whatever the team goes with, man. Whatever it is, I'm just like last year. I wasn't able to come in. I had a pretty solid year. Others would say, but I mean, I'll be fine regardless of whichever one we do.
I think we're all set. Congrats and appreciate the time, Darnell.
Thank you.
What's up, Lauren? How are you? We talked about the Bulls, the Black.
It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. WCPT. WCPT.
This the coldest sports show. You were getting the hour from 6 p.m. to 7. Chillin' with Lauren Cox and the man Marvelous. Shout out to Mr. Rouse and the Italian style. You what sports is the only politic.
WCPT. WCPT. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse. It's the freshest radio show in town. Feeling marvelous, I've been with Jerry Rouse.
All right, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go, Chicago. Let's go, Indiana. Northwest Indiana. Let's just rattle them off like we always do. Well, I used to do in the morning show a few years back. Let's go, Ohio. Because, you know, we're on the web, so they can certainly check us out. Orange State. Let's go, Bama. Let's go, Cali.
Roll Tide.
Let's go, the great state of Montana. Let's go, Arizona.
Big Sky.
Let's go, Florida. Mind your P's and Q's, Florida. Let's go, New York, the Big Apple. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm all pumped up. I'm on fire.
En fuego.
En fuego. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. We're streaming live on Facebook, broadcasting from the illustrious studios on WCPT 820 AM in the beautiful, beautiful city of Chicago, in the fantastic neighborhood of Jefferson Park on the city's north side. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another edition of the Rewind Sports 60. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not over at Guaranteed Rate to watch the Chicago White Sox go for the big old sweep. He's not over at Wrigley Field to watch the Cubs get ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not even over at the United Center trying to figure out what the heck is going on with your Chicago Bulls. What the heck is going on with your Chicago Blackhawks? No, ladies and gentlemen, he's not even over at Wintrust Arena over there watching the DePaul Blue Demons with Dana Stubblefield as their head coach over there trying to figure out things. Ladies and gentlemen, he's in the studios of WCPT. He's known as the Marvelous One. You love him. He is the one. He's the only. He's the man. He's the Marvelous Marvel. What's up, Marvel? How are you?
Jerry. What are you so wired up for?
Hey, I don't know, man.
Sunday, Chicago.
Sunday.
2 games simultaneously in the Chicago. 2 Major League Baseball games played at the same time. When does that happen? You know what I mean?
No, it's fantastic. I mean, it's we used to do that back in the day. As you well know, I was a vendor, and when it was a rare time when both teams are in town.
Yeah. But not only that, I mean, it's Tony Stubblefield, by the way. But
I
it's
know
not only
that.
that.
I know
but there was, our play-by-play announcers on the TV and radio are so important that it came down to we had Connor McKnight doing the White Sox game and Matt Spiegel doing the Cubs game on radio today. I swear, because now
you don't have to swear. I know that.
Yeah, we got these very important announcers now who have other obligations.
They should ask the Marvelous one to sit in there.
I could have stepped in if Spiegel and McKnight can do it. I can do it.
Oh, boom shakalaka! And
live from Wrigley Field.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation. We want you to be a part of it. Our number here is 773-763-9278, 773-763 WCPT, and the voice of the Chicago Cubs, the voice of the Chicago White Sox, then Marvelous Marvin. Go ahead, Marvelous, take it away.
I saw a nice article too about an announcer that a lot of people don't know about, Jack Quinlan. He was a Cubs announcer, the 50s and the 60s, until he unfortunately died in a car crash in Arizona in '67. And I was actually at the spring training when that happened in '67, if you can believe it.
Really?
When he actually passed. So
really?
It was a car crash. But he was and they're talking about his daughter who lives in Evanston wants to get him in the Hall of Fame and that. But he was actually he was only there for a dozen years or so. But he was a great announcer. But he's like an unknown because. It was a long time ago, and he wasn't there long.
Well, I mean, I think he's actually on the wall in the cafeteria area at Chicago Cubs for the media room. They have a wall, the Fred Frick Award winners, and I forget the other wall with the particular recipients. But I think he's actually. On the wall there. Yeah.
And of course, he went to the New Trier High School, too.
Oh, did he? Yeah. The New Trier High School. Ladies and gentlemen, anything in the world of sports you want to talk about, we're right here for you. We're here for the fastest hour in sports conversation, commercial free. Jerry Riles, the Marvelous One, Dan Marvin. And Marvin, before we get into our baseball conversation, and we got some great guests on tap to be joining us shortly. Talk some Cubs, talk some White Sox, talk Chicago sports. But I wanted to pick your brain real quick regarding. I didn't get an opportunity to really see the tweet that was taken down by this generation's king. That, of course, LeBron Jordan. Is that funny? I called him LeBron Jordan, LeBron James, but he
it was threatening.
Supposedly he sent out a tweet. So the verdict came down. This is the first time we're on the air since it happened this week regarding Derek Chauvin, the officer who was in charge 3 counts, guilty on all 3 counts of murder of George Floyd back in. Last year, was it March 25th or May 25th? May 25th in Minneapolis. We've seen the video and all that stuff, but he was found guilty on all 3 charges, and he could get a maximum of 40 years in prison. And it was a sigh of relief, I think, not only in the state, not only in Chicago, not in the state of Illinois, but throughout the country and around the world. I think everyone was waiting to see what the verdict was going to be.
Yeah.
And I got to say thank you to the great Joan Esposito. She's on here Monday through Friday, 2P to 5P. Does a heck of a job, an outstanding job. But I was acting as a reporter for the station around Chicago and giving updates and a scene setter for Joan. And when the verdict came down, Marvelous, I started in Evanston at Northwestern University to see if I can get the reaction of the college students, get the reaction of the Jacob Blake family, and, of course, reparations that happened recently in Evanston. Nothing. It was business as usual. So I made my way south on Lakeshore Drive. I get to Oak Street Beach, get off, and start heading south on a Magnificent Mile. Again, nothing. Nothing. There were police present, but not an extra amount of them. There weren't many called in. There were stores boarding up. The Disney store was boarding up. The Rolex store, of course, was boarding up. There were other stores boarding up, but nothing. I made my way toward the river. I seen the great Liz Nagy of ABC 7. I love her. She's fantastic. But it's interesting. Every time I'm out doing something for the station, I see Liz Nagy. Yeah. I go, "Hey, Nagy! Nagy!" And she looked up, and I go, I give her a thumbs up. Keep up the good work.
I thought you were calling for the coach of the Bears.
She should. Yeah. She should. But she does a heck of a job. But she was over there at the Wrigley Building. Is it still called the Wrigley Building?
I think so.
Outside of, the Wrigley Building, near the river. And I get down Magnificent Mile. Nothing. Yeah. I head down more to Michigan in front of the Bean. Nothing. Yeah. I make her around the Daily Plaza and City Hall. Nothing. I continue to head south, the South Loop. I get down to the 35th Street in Michigan police station over there. Nothing. I see the great Dane Placco of Fox 32. He's out there. I'm like, what? There's nothing going on. Joan gets me on a horn. I go, "Joan, there's nothing going on. There's nothing happening."
You would have seen something if, God forbid, it had been a different verdict.
Oh, man, and that's the thing. I know, me personally, your mind is an incredible thing that we have, right? Yeah. It's an incredible computer.
Right.
And leading up to this, you're all sorts of thoughts are running through my mind, because I'm like, if Maxine Waters, the great representative, California, Maxine Waters, she said last weekend when she was in Minneapolis, she said, if this guy doesn't get guilty all across the board, she told the protest, she said, tell her, stay out there.
Yeah.
Confrontation with the police. Stay out there if this guy doesn't get across the board.
You know what the judge said? That's a problem.
I heard what the judge said.
It's going to be a problem for sentencing, maybe, and for an appeal.
Well, here's the deal, because she was speaking, and she was speaking as a leader representing many people who felt enough was enough. Right. And here's the scary thing about the verdict is the fact that we saw it was, 8 minutes, initially 8 minutes and 29 seconds or something of that nature. It ended up 9 minutes and 29 seconds. Yeah. This guy had his knee on this guy's neck after he was dead. And so Maxine Waters said, hey, if he doesn't get guilty across the board, stay out there. And so a lot of people, including yours truly, we were on pins and needles.
Yeah.
We were on pins and needles because we remembered Rodney King, we remembered O.J. Simpson. Sure. We were on pins and needles, man. Yeah, and it was a powder keg waiting to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah. Rodney King, that was actually unbelievable. That
was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was unbelievable because we saw the footage. We saw the video.
There's footage there, too. But I just want to clarify, you're talking about LeBron. His tweet was about the Ohio incident where it wasn't about the Chauvin.
Right. Well, it was based on that because he sent a tweet out and said, "You're next."
Yeah. Right.
He said, "You're next."
Yeah.
After the Chauvin verdict came down, and he immediately pulled that off.
Right.
And he's been getting some backlash. He's been getting pounded by a lot of course, those on the right. They've been pounding LeBron James because of that. Now, my initial and first reaction was the fact. Again, and I understand, and some people love Charles Barkley, some people don't. Yeah. But Charles Barkley years ago, as we know the phrase, the saying, I'm not a role model.
Right.
I'm not a role model. And too many times I think we look for athletes to be that role model outside of their comfort zone or their venue, whether it's whatever sport they're playing.
Right.
I don't need LeBron James to represent the leadership as far as the African American community is concerned. And now, I know there are people out there that would disagree with that.
Right. Well, did you hear about the bar in Ohio? I mean, this bar is open. I guess that's one bit of information. In Cincinnati, this bar owner says NBA games won't be televised as an establishment as long as LeBron James is a member of the league.
Right, exactly.
If anyone wants to watch an NBA game, don't come. It's Lenny's Pub. Jay Linneman, owner of Cincinnati's Lenny Pub, wrote on Facebook in regard to the controversy surrounding Lakers star. We will not air them until LeBron James has been expelled from the league. He believes basketball players just need to play the game, and that's all. End of quote. And their opinion really doesn't matter. End of quote. So,
no, I don't. I heard about that, and I understand that the NBA and the African American players, professional athletes, all in all, they have tremendous power because, and especially in the NBA, because they have the leverage now.
Yeah.
And I understand. But for LeBron James, in my opinion, to send out, and he was smart enough to pull it out, to pull it back. Yeah. But there, to me, you got to be very, very careful, especially because the world that we're living in and social media, those sort of things, especially coming from a person of that stature, you got to be very, very careful about what you're putting out there in the public eye.
Yeah.
Because people will take information and they would interpret it the way they want to interpret it, and they'll run with it.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have meant one thing,
yeah,
but it comes across as another. And a lot of cases, it may not be a pretty picture. So I do want LeBron James to represent his generation, and I do want him to be a leader.
Mm-hmm.
But you could be a leader in other ways.
Yeah.
And I don't think taking to social media the way that he did, and of course he knew it was a mistake, and that's why he pulled it back. But I don't think you have to be a leader and voice your opinion via social media in a way that it can be misconstrued. Because if you recall, athletes always say, they'll say something after a game, and then they read it the next day or see it in print, and they go, oh, I was taken out of context. I didn't say that.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Mm-hmm. The same way applies with social media and the information that you put out there, because maybe you're upset or you're elated or whatever the case may be. You're emotionally attached to it. But then when you come back and say, man, did I really say that? Did I really put that out there?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to do what you're going to do as far as the leader is concerned, I get it. Take care of the kids in Cleveland and Akron and Ohio. I get it. Build some houses. Do whatever you have to do. But when it comes to the social media thing, in my opinion, step back and step away.
I think the Post had a picture of the Ohio cop with the words "You're next," which was which was interpreted as threatening.
That incident in Columbus, God bless the young lady and her family. That was just a.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the video of that.
Sure, repeatedly.
Oh my goodness, that was a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
But, and again, I can get on this soapbox.
Yeah.
And I got to say this. There are good cops, there are bad cops.
Yeah.
It's just like there are good people, there are bad people.
Yeah.
But I got to say to you, and I told our listeners last week, I got picked up for curfew. I was probably like 15 years old, and I got picked up for curfew on the south side. It was 10:35. Curfew was at 10:30. Cops picked me up, and they said, what are you doing out here? And I go, I just come from the store. Right? And they drove me around the block, and they dropped me off to the house. They said, boy, stay in school and get home before curfew.
Yeah.
And I, thank you, officer. Thank you, officer. And I went in the house, and you know, I got to deal with my parents because they're like, what the hell are you doing out? Right? But I was going to the store, not to say that that's at any rate, my point being, I complied with the officer, right? And I did what I was supposed to do, and I got home. What I'm saying I'm just saying, right or wrong, let them figure it out through the system if you can. And a lot of people gonna come in, Jerry, you can't, you know how to, I understand how the system is. But don't put yourself in a compromising situation that 9 times out of 10, if you're dealing with the Chicago police, if you live in the city's south side and the west side, if you try to challenge it and do street justice, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna turn out good. It's not going to turn out good. So don't put yourself in a compromising situation. Don't put your family in a compromising situation. Don't put your loved ones in a compromising situation when you're dealing with the cops. Because at the end of the day, if you try to handle it on the streets, with street justice or whatever the case may be, it's not going to be a happy, pretty ending. It's not. That's just my soapbox public service announcement to you out there listening to the Rewind Sports 60 on WCPT 820 AM. Let's go out to our phones. Ed is on the north side chiming in. Ed, welcome. How are you, my good friend?
How you doing? Let me give my opinion on, LeBron James' tweet. I think he was talking about the young girl who got shot and killed for having a knife while she was attacking.
In Columbus, Ohio.
Correct. That's what
Yeah,
he said.
okay, yeah. Whatever it is, it's just one of many incidents, okay? And in this particular case, the police may have been right. She was attacking the girl with a knife. I don't know. But his point I agree with, that, we should all stand up for injustice. And there's too much of this going on with the police. Even if this was a justifiable shooting, there's too many that are not, okay? So I agree with LeBron coming out with that statement. To me, that's just like kneeling during the national anthem. You're protesting. You're tired of it. Okay? That's the way I see it. And he's making a point that now we have seen some police officers get convicted of murder. We had 3 of them. We had Muhammad Nur in Minnesota, who shot a white woman who was visiting her fiancé. She came from Australia. We had Jason Van Dyke, who murdered Laquan McDonald, and we had Derek Chauvin, who murdered George Floyd. And to me, LeBron's point is this: the days of cops murdering people and not having to go to trial are over, and that's what I agree with him about.
Oh, yeah. And Ed, thank you so very much. We always appreciate listening to you and hearing you join us on the Rewind Sports 60 here on WCPT 820 AM. No, I understand the point. But honestly, again, I don't need LeBron James to put that out there. I personally don't need LeBron James to do that.
Right. Well, to me, the Ohio incident isn't anything like the unarmed folks being killed. This was an armed woman. And there was some talk, talk about a warning shot. I mean, the bullet has to land somewhere. Shoot the leg. I mean, it's
with the 16-year-old in Columbus.
Yeah,
there was no warning shot.
No, I know there's no warning shot, and they shoot for the mass, because if you try to shoot a leg, it's going to ricochet off the car. You're going to hit the victim. So obviously there were no good choices there, but it looked like in the video that the woman that was shot was about to plunge a knife into the other person's.
She was. Throat. I mean, she was. I thought the young girl got stabbed because the motion was coming down. Her right hand with the object in it, the knife or whatever the sharp instrument was in her hand, was coming down to strike the young lady who was pent up against the car, and the cop. It looked like he had no choice.
Right. And the cop wasn't just driving by; he was called to the scene.
It was a chaotic scene. Yeah. It was a chaotic scene.
I saw. It looked like first the woman went to the ground in the video. Didn't it look like that to you? And then she popped up. She did go to the ground. She was lunging at the young girl in the pink suit, the pink warm-up suit. Right.
The cop shot her. She immediately fell down to the ground. She kind of rolled on her right side, and then she rolled back on her left, and then she was sitting up, propped up against the car, the vehicle.
Right.
And that was it. Yeah. Again, I am elated. Yeah. I'm elated that this Chauvin character got the book thrown at him.
We don't know what the sentence is going to be. It's not going to be life. It's not going to be the death penalty.
It's going to be 40 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's going to be 40 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he's guilty on all charges. It's going to be 40 years. Mm-hmm. The maximum, the second-degree murder charges, carries a maximum of 40 years. Okay. The other one, the third-degree murder charges, carries 25 years, I think, sentencing, and then the manslaughter carries like 5 to 7 or something of that nature. So he's going to get 40 years in prison. Mm-hmm. There's no question about it. He needed the book thrown at him, and it was a breath of fresh air, but it's not a matter of celebration because there's a lot more work to be done. But as far as the 16-year-old situation with the girl in Columbus, it's a sad and unfortunate situation. But again, I say don't put yourself in a compromising situation, because if you're going to leave it in the hands of the police, you're not going to prevail. Yeah. You're not going. There's no way that you're going to say I can win. I can defeat this.
Right.
It's not going to happen. But don't put yourself in a compromising situation, Marvelous.
Yeah. There's even the young Master Toledo case in Chicago where the minor was shot. So I mean, there's all kinds of different cases. They're not all the same, obviously, but they're all pretty awful.
Yeah, but here's the deal. We're going to go to our guest real quick. But again, the 13-year-old Toledo situation. A 13-year-old child should not be outside at 2:30 in the morning running down the alley from police with a gun in his hand and try to throw it away to act innocent. This, of course, after the cops received phone calls from multiple gunshots being shot in the area. And of course, we've seen video footage of the 21-year-old and the 13-year-old boy allegedly shooting at a vehicle driving down the street before the police arrived on the scene.
Sure.
There's no way that a 21-year-old man should be hanging out with a 13-year-old boy unless they're relatives. That shouldn't happen. Secondly, a 13-year-old child should not be out on the street at 2:30 in the morning. I mean, you just shouldn't have unless you're with your mother and your father coming from your relative's house. But a 13-year-old kid should not be out with a 21-year-old man that is not related to him at 2:30 in the morning with a gun running down the street. You can't do it. So don't put yourself in a compromising situation. You can't do it. Stop it. It's ridiculous. Because we all have to deal with this stuff.
Amen.
And the South Side, the West Side, let me get off the soapbox. Okay. Because it just infuriates me. Yeah, the cops, there are some bad cops out there. There are bad cops out there. And there are some cops, they don't like black people. They don't like brown people. They don't want to see they don't want to see it. And they will do whatever they can in their power because they have the badge, because they have the gun. They will drive while being black. That happens. I've been profiled myself. And I complied. I was not wrong, but I complied because I knew the alternative wouldn't be a pretty picture. It wouldn't be a pretty picture. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our phone lines. I love this guy. He's fantastic. He's outstanding. He's a Chicago sports talk radio legend, an icon. And he's just a good dude and a fun guy. And he's on our TRS60 hotline. He's a friend of the program. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the one, the only. He's Harry Tynowitz. Harry, how are you, man?
I'm good, Riles. You know, it's so much fun to argue with you, but I've been listening for the last 7-8 minutes, and you yet to say something wrong, surprisingly.
Hey, Harry, I sometimes, and maybe it's CPT, 8:20 a.m., but sometimes when I'm sitting in this seat and I'm doing this show, you know, based on this world that we live in and the city that we live in, I tend to get on my soapbox. And sometimes, you know, I get on the soapbox and Marvelous has to pull me off the soapbox because I don't know when to get off of it. But, so, you know, a lot of this stuff sometimes, man, that we live, this world, this beautiful world that we live in and this beautiful city that we live in, unfortunately, it doesn't appear to be beautiful. But, I mean, you know, we got some undesirables out there on law enforcement, but, of course, in the hood as well. There are some undesirables. And hey, listen, in the hood, when you grow up, you know who to stay away from and you know who to run to. There are some undesirables in the hood. And when things go wrong, a lot of times you point to the undesirables. And when you point to the undesirables, 9 times out of 10, you might be right. 9 times out of 10, you might be right. But I just see, you know, with the violence and everything that's going on in this great city of ours, you know, something's got to stop. And it's got to start at home, in my opinion. And you know, Big Mama's she's got to reel them in. She's got to say, hey, enough of this nonsense. We got to stop this crazy mishap that's going on. Because as long as Big Mama is not saying anything, these undesirables, this riffraff, they're going to run around and continue to terrorize the neighborhoods like they're doing. And we're going to continue to see this nonsense occur day in and day out. So, Harry, let me get off the soapbox. Go ahead.
Yeah, come on, Marvelous. Do your job.
Marvelous. Hey, Harry, this is Marvelous. Hey, were you really in Risky Business, the movie?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that.
Okay, you can verify. I thought you vetted your guest.
Okay.
Hey, Harry, we want to take some time out to invite you on and just say hello and see how you're doing, first of all. It's been a while since you've been on with us, of course, with the pandemic and everything, but a good friend of ours, and you certainly have a good relationship with this former Chicago Bear player, Steve Mongo McMichael, who was diagnosed with ALS this week, and I guess he was diagnosed actually a few months ago, late last year, and now I understand he's using a powered wheelchair, and he has limitations as far as his arms and legs are concerned. But the fact that Steve Mongo McMichael, number 76 for your Super Bowl champion Chicago Bears from way back in the day, is diagnosed with ALS. What was your reaction when you learned of that?
I mean, it really knees you in the gut, and he was maybe the strongest guy, on that entire team. Just pure brute strength, and certainly the greatest, outgoing character. And for him to be dealing with this, it doesn't seem fair. It's not fair for some. What's happening in the world is not fair. But I mean, this has been going on for a long time. There's just, good people have been dealing with, getting diseases like this. And I hope to God that Mongo, I know there's no cure as we speak for ALS, but, I hope that Mongo can find a way to, somehow come out of this on the good end. I know that Chicago stepped up, Bears fans stepped up and started filling the page of GoFundMe for him, and he's just been, he's a wonderful guy. He won the Super Bowl, and he's just got such great character. Those shows when he was with Gene Greco on Channel 5, those shows were hysterical. And to get to hang out with him at the radio station, to get to do events with him, he always had time for everybody. He's just such, a cool dude, and he's so damn likable. I hope he can somehow survive this.
I hope that he can survive it as well. And we're on with the great Harry Tynowitz, who had an opportunity to work with Steve Mongo McMichael over at WMVP AM 1000 years ago. But I hope that he can somehow, some way, get through this. But as you stated, there is no cure for ALS, the Lou Gehrig disease, and he's certainly going to need a lot of family support, a lot of friend support, and just Chicago support to get through this. Former football coach over at the great St. Rita High School, Jim Angston, who I love dear and dear to my heart, but unfortunately he passed away I think a couple years ago with ALS, and he was a stud. He was a true man. He was a good man. He was a honorable man, but he was a football coach on the city south side, and unfortunately, ALS took him away from us too soon as well a couple years back. So I am familiar with it, but I hope that the great Steve Mongo McMichael can get all the support that he certainly needs to battle through this, Harry.
There are people that you look at and say, well, they could never be affected. They could never be taken down. They're too strong. They're too tough, and it can get after anybody. And it's just not fair. And I remember we used to do a holiday dinner, and we would go somewhere cool. And one year we were going to what was the name of the place? Went for dinner to a real nice Chicago restaurant. We invited Mongo. We invited Misty, and Misty brought the bag. She brought her bag, and the bag was moving. Well, why is your bag moving? Right. What the hell, dude? Did you steal something? Well, why is your bag moving? And they had brought the animal. They had brought the animal into the restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant knew it, the waiters knew it, the guy who ran the place knew it, and nobody was going to say anything to Mongo. He's Mongo,
Right.
You let him get away with stuff like that. But he's just, and he had, like I said, he had time for everyone. You could, people could talk to him, and he would talk to you about anything, not just football. He talked to you about anything. And he was just, at the peak of Bears' popularity, Mongo was about as popular as you get, and it's already crazy that we lost Sweetness off that team, because Sweetness might have been the greatest running back to ever play the game, if not the greatest football player to ever play the game. And now the toughest guy on that defense, Mongo, is dealing with something that seems like it's totally unfair. And I just want him to get it. I think Mongo's dealt with two incredible things, you know, a bad first marriage and now getting ALS. So hopefully he can survive, you know, this one as you know, as he did first marriage.
Yeah, Harry, this is Dan here. I was remembering, other than his great football talent, the famous seventh inning stretch at Wrigley Field, where he's the only person to ever be tossed out of the game, so to speak, because of what he said after the seventh inning.
Put the home plate up.
Yeah, right, the ump. Yeah, that was unbelievable.
We have some speaks. We have some speaks.
Yeah, a little talking to. Yeah.
Yeah, it just. It didn't seem like that was the time and the place for it, but that was the beauty of Mongo.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, you know, there's a reason to remember Dick as, you know, take me out to the ball game. Yeah. There's a reason to remember Denny Savard to take me out to the ball game. And, right. And the most fun one is to remember why Mongo did it, you know, and why Mongo got ticked up at the umpire. And, we're gonna have some speaks after the game. What are speaks? What the hell are speaks?
Hey, that's Mongo talk, man. And when Mongo talks, hey, let me tell you something. That's I'm not really afraid of, like, except my mother, my daughters, my wife. I mean, I'm afraid of people like that, but not too many people like, you know, terrify me. But there's a few people on that team that, you know. You say, hey man, I'm just gonna toe the line. You don't even want to toe the line with him, Mongo, because you never knew what that guy was gonna do, and he didn't care. He did. I mean, if you mouth off to that dude, you just didn't really know what that dude was going to do, and he could do whatever he wanted to do. So that's one thing. Otis Wilson is another one. Still today, I'll stand in the corner when I see Otis Wilson. I don't know about you, Harry, but Otis still gives you a glare like he's still playing. He'll look at you, yeah. I'm like, okay, Otis, I'm just kidding. Hey, take it easy. Relax. Take it easy. But, I mean, no wonder that team, that defensive unit, goes down in history in my book as the best to ever suit up and play in the National Football League, Harry, because with all those characters on that football team, and kudos to Mike Ditka and Buddy Ryan, may he rest in peace, to be able to manage all those crazy egos on that football team. Those guys were maniacs. So can you imagine if you lining up against them? I
wouldn't want to do it.
No,
I wouldn't want the sack man coming at me. There's no way.
No,
I would just take a knee.
We my friends and I were very lucky. We got to go to the Super Bowl, and you know, not the fake one that Rex played, but the actual Super Bowl. And Thayer said that if he didn't, you know, he blames himself. I don't think that's accurate, but he blames himself for running into Peyton and causing the fumble. But if he says that if he didn't cause the fumble, New England would have never gotten the ball. New England would have never gotten 3 points, and there's no way the defense would have allowed Buddy Ryan to take them off the field in the fourth quarter. And Mongo used to believe that, you know, he would tell me all the time, because no, we weren't coming out. You know, if we were scoring, if they weren't scoring, we weren't coming out. That should have been the only shutout in the history of the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That should not have been, right. I mean, that's the greatest defense. As great as Baltimore's defense was.
Yeah.
And a couple other teams, the Bears' Super Bowl winning defense that took down New England, you know, in the Sam Adams helmets. That was the best. That was the best defense I ever saw in a Super Bowl.
I believe again, and I tell my wife and I tell my kids, listen, Harry. I tell them, I go, listen to me, listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth. I said, I've never ever, and I've been watching football, Harry. You've been watching football, but I've been for years. I've never ever seen 11 grown men who are so-called professional athletes being paid, you know, decent money at the time. I've never seen 11 grown men afraid to go out on the football field because of the team across the field. I've never ever seen that before in my life until I saw the Chicago Bears.
I guess Buddy Ryan told him the night before the game that he was leaving. It was a done deal. He was going to Cleveland. he was going to Philadelphia, and Mongo stood up. He took a chair and he threw it into where the film was being shown.
Yeah.
And it just stuck there.
Like Woody Hayes.
And Yeah, and just Woody Hayes. Really, does everything have to come back to Ohio State? Oh, my God. Woody freaking Hayes we're talking about.
Well, you know he did that.
The greatest defense in the history of the Super Bowl, and you find a way to bring up Woody Hayes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, because Woody Hayes.
I hope we...
No. They call me assassin. Jack Tatum. Jack Tatum say they were sitting in the film room. Woody Hayes got pissed. He took the chair and threw it and stuck in the four legs stuck in the wall there. It's just stuck in the wall there. Yeah. That's where it comes from. Come on now, Harry. Stay with me.
Hey, come on. Does he make? Did he try to punch the linebacker? You know, did he wait till the game?
Take it easy. Take it easy. Hey, Harry. Harry,
yeah.
We miss you. We love you. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation. What's going on in Harry's world, real quick, before we spring you?
Well, there's big money on the Oscars tonight. You know, there's a lot of big
an
money
Oscar gamble.
Money on every
Oscar gamble. What are you talking about?
No.
Oscar Gamble had the best hair, didn't he?
Oh, he did.
For all the pros.
Yeah.
Oscar Gamble had the best fro. He was a Cub and a White Sox. But no, there's action. You can bet anything. And you know, the smart money is coming in on Nomad's Land. And, you know.
Great movie.
I'm just, looking forward. I haven't seen it. Was it a good movie?
That was a great movie. It kept me compelled. It was a pretty good movie. It was. I enjoyed it. I really did.
Oh, and then my money's on.
Did you throw a chair into the screen when you were done with it?
No, you know what? I actually drew a picture of me throwing a chair into the wall there. But you know,
now, you guys sound like Bobby Knight. My money's on Chadwick Boseman for Best Actor.
Chadwick Boseman, yeah.
Well, he should get. They've got to find a way to give him an award. So last time they get a chance, they better find a way to give him an award.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm getting ready to watch the Oscars, and I've got a play that I wrote that is coming out in December, and it'll be out in Chicago at the Greenhouse Theater December 5th. Spike Manton, a former radio partner, wrote with me, and yes. I wrote a one-act play, a one-man play, and he goes, you know, this is surprisingly good, and which is both an insult and a compliment all at the same time. Somehow he did that, and he goes, why don't we make it a full cast? So we made it a full cast, and it's, you know, some guy read it and bought it, and December 5th it'll be out. So. Looking forward to a serious subject, but it's comedy, so looking forward to that. And hopefully Mongo will be there on opening night.
Hey, Harry, thank you so very much. We always love talking with you. It's a pleasure. Thank you for being a friend of the program. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep us in tune. And you know where to send the tickets when everything opens up on December 5th, my good friend. Take care, okay?
Riles, how come you're the man? You're the man. My daughter goes to Michigan State. I told her any school but Michigan, so she listened. So
awesome.
That was good.
Yeah.
All right. Dangerous. Take care. I'll talk to you guys later.
Take care, brother. Harry Tynowitz on our TR60 hotline, ladies and gentlemen. And I threw the Oscar Gamble piece in there because we transition to the World Series bound Chicago White Sox over on the South Side guaranteed rate. Congratulations to the White Sox on an 8-4 victory over the Texas Rangers. And ladies and gentlemen, he is a friend of the program as well. He's on our TR60 hotline. He is the Sox beat writer for your Chicago Tribune. He's on our TR60 hotline, ladies and gentlemen. He's known as Lamont Pope. Lamont, how are you doing, man?
Fantastic. How are you?
Hey, man, thank you so very much. And I know you were over there at Guaranteed Rate taking in the Chicago White Sox victory, and they've now made it 4 in a row. Hey, they started off kind of sluggish. They had people kind of wondering, hey, is this team really Super Bowl? Is this team really World Series bound? They're losing here. Their pitching's not doing well. What's going on here? Seems like Tony La Russa, he's that old DeSoto. It takes him a little while to get warmed up, but once that thing gets going, hey, they start churning out, and the White Sox bats are starting to come to life, man. 2 games over 500. What was a game like this afternoon over at the Guaranteed Rate, my good friend?
Yeah, a little bit of everything. I mean, you start out with the pitching. I mean, obviously Michael Kopech getting his second start of the season. You know, they've been using him mostly out of the bullpen. Last week he started against Boston and had a really strong start, first start since 2018. and today had him start again because Lucas Giolito had a little bit of a cut on his middle finger of his pitching hand, so they were going to push him on back till Tuesday. So, Michael, anytime you get Michael Kopech on the mound, that's always a big story, and he was fantastic. 10 strikeouts in 5 innings, just dazzling throughout the game, and then the offense. I mean, they gave him a lot of support early on. Jose Abreu with the 2-run home run in the first inning, and he built out an 8-1 lead, and they were able to kind of cruise from there. And so all around, everything was clicking today, and that's a good sign for this team.
Oh, and the crowd was stunned. The crowd was stunned. No, you know what? It was great to see him get an opportunity to get out there. Now, Giolito, he's expected. The Sox have the day off on Monday, and they get back to business over at the rate on the South Side on Tuesday. Is he expected to get the start? Yeah. Tell us what happened with the injury. He cut his finger on a bottle or something.
Yeah, that was kind of a strange injury. You always hear those strange baseball injuries, and this was definitely one of those. He said that he thought it was a glass, and so he went to go ahead and pick it on up, and he cut his finger there, and it was Monday in Cleveland, and so he says that he's good to go for Tuesday afternoon. Obviously, like you said, they have Monday off, and so and he wants to have that bounce back performance. Monday was his last outing in Boston, and he didn't get out of the second inning, and so he was looking forward to getting back on that mound. A little bit of a delay with the injury, but he sounds like everything's going to be good to go for him to go Tuesday night against the Tigers.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be back to snuff. But as far as this White Sox team is concerned, now you were in the press box when Lance Lynn threw the no-hitter.
Rodon.
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Lance Lynn because he's been pitching his tail off as well. But Carlos Rodon, you were in the press box when he threw the no-hitter. What was your thought sitting there as inning after inning after inning? The tension began to mount. What was your thoughts and the feelings of witnessing that? And was that the first time you've seen a no-hitter in your life?
Yeah, that was such a strange game from the standpoint of the night before, the offense, they were limited to 3 hits against Shane Bieber in a 10-inning game. Just fantastic pitching duel between Bieber and Giolito. But then the first inning, the next night against Zach Plesac, they come on out, they score 6 runs on 7 hits. And so my early story, I think, is going to be all about the offense. Mercedes hits a bomb, hits a home run, and you're thinking, all right, well, the offense getting their groove back on, and that's going to be the story of my game. But then, like you said, you keep looking up, there's another zero. There's another zero. There's another zero. And so, he's flirting with perfection, and you get to the 7th inning, you get to the 8th inning, you're like, oh man, this can really happen. And I was fortunate to be in the press box last year for Lucas Giolito's no-hitter, and in that instance, it was a little bit more of, Giolito the outing before had a really strong performance against the Detroit Tigers. I remember thinking in that game, Giolito had no hit stop, and so when he was able to back it on up, the Tigers eventually got a hit. But then the next outing against the Pirates, he had that no hit stuff going again. It was just as sharp. 13 strikeouts, 1 walk, and then this like I said, in this outing, it was more it wasn't an overpowering outing until a little bit later on. And as the outing got stronger, as the evening wore on, Carlos got stronger, right? He threw up in the upper 90s as the night went on, and so he got better as the evening went on. And then for a situation where you're in the 9th inning, you got a perfect game going, and then you get a slider that just nicks the toe of Perez to break up the perfect game. But for him to bounce on back, to remain focused, and then to finish off the no-hitter, I think that says a lot about his mindset and his ability to sort of shake that off. I lost the perfect game, but to be able to still finish things on out, get the last 2 outs for a no-hitter, that says an awful lot for him going forward as well.
Yeah, you know what? And I got to say that I'm proud of him, and congratulations to Carlos Rodon, because I've been one of those guys, Lamont, to say, for years, since he's been in the Sox organization, that he's done. He doesn't have it. He's not going to be able to put everything together. And I just didn't understand why the White Sox brass and Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn and Jerry Reinsdorf, for that matter, continue to believe in this kid. I just didn't understand it, because I felt that we could move on and we could focus on, developing some other pitchers or getting some other pitchers. But he proved me and a lot of people wrong, Carlos Rodon, that he still has some stuff, and the Sox tendered him, and we see what's going on. And I think it's a great boost for the entire White Sox pitching staff, because I truly believe And I said Lance Lynn. And we see what Kopech has done. Giolito is, I mean, he's the man. This pitching staff for the Chicago White Sox, to me, they're chomping at the bit. And once the temperatures start to warm up, and we're going to be in the 70s and 80s this week, but when we get to midsummer and the All-Star break and all that, how deadly do you think this pitching staff for the Chicago White Sox will be by that time?
Yeah, I want to go back a little bit, what you're talking about with Carlos there. I mean, what a story just about perseverance, right? You know, here's someone, as you said, non-tendered. He's dealt with a ton of injuries throughout his entire career. And he said that stuff sort of motivated him, you know, being non-tendered, having to deal with the injuries. He wanted to prove to himself and to the White Sox that he could be healthy. And you know, he was a number 3 overall draft pick, right? And so what comes with that, with a lot of expectations. So he wanted to prove to himself that, hey, if I'm healthy, this is how I can pitch. And so far, he's been able to show that. I mean, you know, even the bounce back, even the outing after the no-hitter, you know, he threw a lot of pitches, but he was able to get on through 5 innings and get the Sox in a position to win that ball game. And so throughout this entire season, you know, they started in Seattle, the no-hitter, and then the backup start against his next start against the Indians. I mean, he's shown an awful lot so far this season. But then kind of backpedaling that into the rest of the rotation. I mean, you know, you mentioned Giolito, you mentioned you know, obviously Dallas Keuchel. You know, he had a nice start last night as well. And so you know, they had a staff. This staff was going to be, there were a lot of expectations with this staff. When you have a staff that has even a starting rotation that has 3 guys that received American League Cy Young Award votes last season in Giolito, Lance Lynn, and Dallas Keuchel, you know that that's going to be a staff that's going to be dangerous, right? And then you then get what you're getting right now from Rodon, and you hope that, you know, Dylan Cease that Dylan Cease can kind of turn that corner. He's the one that's, you know, he's kind of needing to kind of take that next step, and they haven't really seen that from him yet. But they're confident that, you know, he has all the stuff. Right, he has a great fastball. He has the ability to kind of do the things that some of these other guys are doing, but he hasn't been able to put it all together yet. And so if he can get clicking as well, I mean, that's just going to make this rotation even that much more dangerous. And then we haven't even talked about the bullpen. I mean, you know, Liam Hendricks leading the way as a closer, and then just the arms that Tony La Russa. I mean, you know, obviously La Russa has that ability, you know, through his days in Oakland and his times in St. Louis. He's sort of been the master of being able to work a bullpen, right? And he has so many arms with him. You know, when like I said, with Liam Hendricks, Cody Hoyer, Aaron Bomber, Evan Marshall, the list just kind of goes on and on and on. And you know, obviously you deal with Kopech. You can either start him or you can put him in the bullpen. He's been lights out in that bullpen role, and so Eric Crochet, another guy that can throw in the upper 90s. So you have so many weapons that you can use out of the bullpen where you don't, you know, where if the starters can't go 5 or 6 or 7 innings, you know that once you get to that, if you have a lead in the 6th or 7th inning, the ball game's over because you have these arms that you kind of use to get on out and mow the opponents on down. Hey man, you're a wealth of knowledge, no question about it. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation, so we're running short on time. But I do have to ask you. Let me say this to you, man. I drive a Mercedes, okay. And the reason I drive a Mercedes is because I love the quality. I love the style. I love the excellence. I love the efficiency. I love everything about the Mercedes. I think White Sox fans are loving everything about this Yerminator Mercedes character because this guy he is excellent, man. I mean, he's unbelievable at the plate, and his story is phenomenal. 10 years in the minor leagues, battling back and forth. He stayed consistent. He stayed persistent. And now he's getting an opportunity to show what he's capable of doing. And I don't know, man. How long can this thing go? I mean, he's a true, pure major league hitter. He's slapping the ball all over the place, Lamont. Your thoughts on the Mercedes Yerminator? It's been unreal. I mean, here's someone, you know, if Eloy Jimenez doesn't get hurt, who knows if Mercedes makes the team out of spring training, right? I mean, they needed another bat, you know, someone that had some power after Eloy went on down, and so Mercedes makes the team, and then in his first start goes 5 for 5, and it's just kept on hitting. and it's not only, you know, anything that you need. You need a double, okay. You need a home run, okay. and his ability to hit with 2 strikes, right? Like he cuts down on his swing. And, you know, he's one of those guys. You know, we've seen it in the game so often nowadays where guys, even with 2 strikes, are going to swing for the fences. They're going to, you know, just try to hit the ball at the ballpark. No, he cuts down on his swing, tries to just put the ball in play. and good things have happened for him. I mean, it's been unreal. And like I said, the story, just to persevere through all those years in the minor leagues, to finally get the opportunity and to have the success that he's had. I mean, it's been a boost. Not only, it's been one of the best stories, not only for the White Sox, but one of the best stories in all of baseball.
It certainly has. Ed Lamont, and you're a great story here in Chicago, telling us about the great Chicago White Sox man for the Chicago Tribune. We really, really appreciate you spending some time on the fastest hour in sports conversation, brother. Keep up the great work, and we'll certainly be talking with you down the road. And hopefully, by the fall, we'll get a chance to be in the locker room watching the White Sox hoist that World Series trophy, my good friend.
Well, thank you for the time. Anytime you guys want to have me on, I'll be ready to go.
Sounds good. Hey, man, take care. Lamont Pope joining us on the Rewind Sports 60. It's the fastest hour in sports conversation, ladies and gentlemen. You want to say something, Marvelous?
Of course. I was gonna say, Mercedes, unbelievable. Was he batting 414 or something?
He's unbelievable.
Incredible. And for those of you youngsters, Brady was not the quarterback in the '86 Super Bowl. It was Tony Eason. I just wanted to clarify that.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure, Mr. Marvelous?
I did the research. That's why.
I don't think you have to do research on that one.
That's why you couldn't get a hold of me for a while.
And the Cubs, hey, you know what? Hopefully, I mean, they're riding a roller coaster, and David Ross is their game under 500 now after falling to the Milwaukee Brewers. David Ross is trying to get this team up to snuff, and the bats exploded a couple times.
They started hitting, but their relief was like walkaholic the last couple days.
Yeah, and you know, hey, Javi is Javi.
Yeah.
He's going to come around and produce the way we expect him to. Wilson Contreras, I'm impressed with what he's been able to do. I think the consistent bat for this team thus far has been Chris Bryant. He is coming in and doing whatever he's expected to do. Anthony Rizzo is starting to try to come around. Nico Horner, the fans' choice. He's back up.
Yeah, he should have been there from the beginning, but I think they were protecting him for the free agency.
Probably. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, it's the fastest hour in sports conversation. If you miss any portion of the Rewind Sports 60, right here on WCPT 820 AM. You can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on our website, therewindsports60.com, therewindsports60.com. If you live in the northern suburbs, on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we're on Channel 17, Channel 19, and Channel 35. It's the Rewind Sports 60. Thanks to the Marvelous One. Here's the one, Dan Marver, and of course, our illustrious producer, Devin Tingle, kicking butt and taking names. Ladies and gentlemen, public service announcement. If you get stopped by the cops, right or wrong, comply. Get yourself a lawyer and let it pan out that way. Don't try to do it in the street. It ain't gonna happen for you. I'm telling you. Folks, take care of yourself. Enjoy yourself. Prayers out to my brother, Lauren P. Riles Jr. Elks. Say a prayer for him. Love you. Talk to you. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Sports Medicine Update, a weekly podcast with yours truly, Jerry Riles, and the Honorable Dr. Chad Prodromos. Dr. Prodromos is an orthopedic surgeon at the Illinois Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Centers here in the great city of Chicago, Glenview, and in Naples. He's also the orthopedic surgeon at Prodromos Stem Cell Institute and the editor-in-chief of the Anterior Cruciate Ligament Reconstruction Basic Science. Dr. Chad Prodromos, it's always an honor and a pleasure to get a chance to talk with you on the Sports Medicine Weekly Update. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, Jerry. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic, and you know what? I love Chicago. There's no question about it. But the weather, it is somewhat challenging. We go from 70 degrees to 30 to 40, and now they're projecting, Doc, back into the 70s and possibly the 80s within the next 7 to 10 days. So we're certainly looking forward to it. But I also have to say there are a lot of us who are looking forward to getting back out and doing some activities from outside of the homes. I know there are many people watching the Sports Medicine Weekly podcast and, of course, you know, listening and watching, but maybe they're working out. Maybe they're doing a nice jog. Whatever the case may be, I know they're looking to get back out there and get some more, you know, activities involved. And one area they want to get involved in is the gym. With the pandemic and vaccinations and the numbers appearing to decline as far as COVID is concerned, the virus, many places around the country are opening up. Here in the great state of Illinois and Chicago, we see things opening up as well, and that includes the gyms. That means a lot of people, weekend warriors and those trying to get that beach body in shape for the summer, are heading back out to the gyms. But as you well can attest and prove, that when you get out there and you start lifting weights, you may run into some problems while you're trying to get that beach body on. I just want to touch your knowledge and get some insight as far as things, precautions, athletes, whether they're professional or the average amateur getting out there. What sort of things can they look to do to prepare themselves and their bodies for working out in the weight rooms and the gyms that are opening up now?
So the biggest things, there's basically 3 rules in a case like this. The one is a lot of people have been away from things that they hadn't been away from for a long time because of COVID. So the great tendency, you get away from things, you get out of shape, and you just, once you can work out, you're like, wow, I got to hit this hard because I'm in such terrible shape. And so maybe the most important thing is when you do get back, go back slow. Work out every other day, not every day. There's a thing called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. So you work out Monday, Tuesday you feel good, but Wednesday you feel bad. So when you go back slow. Lift, if you're lifting weights, lift less than you used to lift, less than you think that you should, and give yourself a couple of weeks just to tell your body, hey, I'm doing this again a little bit, and get yourself a little condition. So the first couple of weeks, your main goal shouldn't be to get strong. It should be to stay healthy. Just don't get hurt. You get past that hurdle, you can start to build a little. The second thing is never do anything that hurts even a little. The no pain, no gain thing, it's just wrong. It just is. Your body is so smart. If it's hurting, you should stop. The third corollary is we have a paradigm we call no pills, no pain. And it is don't ever take anything because you're sore. We're bombarded with advertisements, and I've talked about this before, from the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory people who say, hey, don't let pain stop you, go do this, go do that. If it hurts, take a pill. I cannot think of worse advice. If you're having pain, stop, let it go away. If you take pills, they're bad for you in multiple ways. They mask pain, so you hurt yourself and you don't know it. The non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which are ibuprofen, which is Motrin and Advil, naproxen, which is Aleve, aspirin, diclofenac, Celebrex, meloxicam, and there are many others. Those drugs interfere with connective tissue healing. So they will slow down your body's ability to repair itself. So they're worse in that regard than Tylenol. They're both painkillers, and painkillers are in general bad for the reason that I said, but those drugs are worse. The other thing is those drugs have high toxicity rates, ulcers, liver problems, kidney problems, heart attacks, and whatnot. So main thing is go back slow every other day. If it hurts even a little bit, don't do it. And don't take pills for pain. Don't take things that mask pain. The pain is your friend. Our bodies are miraculously adapted over millions of years of evolution to signal us when we have a problem and to tell us what not to do. So we outsmart ourselves, we do it anyway, and don't. So if you follow that advice, you'll stay healthy.
That's a great point that you bring up. And I know there are many people watching and listening to the Sports Medicine Weekly podcast here are kind of crinkling their forehead and their nose and saying, what is Dr. Chad Prodromos talking about? Because when you go out to the gyms, and we won't endorse any particular gyms, but when you go out to the gyms and you're working with trainers and, maybe you're a part of a team with football or even basketball, all sports, they do some type of weight training, and you hear your coaches, and your colleagues pushing you, come on, one more. And you know that the pain is there, but it's instilled in you to say, you know what, if I just get this one more rep out, if I get this one more push, I'm that much more closer to my goal of reaching whatever the case may be. They seem to be conflicting messages. How do you as an athlete block out that push and say, hey, you know what? I better listen to my body and take a step backwards.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it brings up a really good distinction. So here's the thing. To get stronger or to get more cardiovascularly fit, you need to overload yourself. So to get stronger, when you feel like you can't do another one, you try to do another one. So doing that other rep is how you get stronger, but that's assuming that it's pain-free. So you can be trying as hard as you can and you do another one, go for it, but only if you're pain-free. So there's a difference between pushing through pain and pushing through fatigue or pushing through just, laziness. I don't know, so go for it. Same's true for cardiovascular. Your body, when you do cardio fitness, produces something called an oxygen debt. So what that means is if you're on an elliptical and you're going and you get tired and you start to breathe quickly, what's happening is your muscles use oxygen and then they need more oxygen. So then your blood vessels dilate to give more blood to the area to give them more oxygen. And then, so your heart goes faster, and we measure heart rate. And then the next thing that happens is you breathe faster. And you breathe faster, and your heart pumps faster to get more oxygen to your blood and to get more blood to your muscles. And so this is in response to an oxygen debt. And you need to get an oxygen debt to get more fit. Because your body, if you don't have that debt, if you don't get a fast heart rate and get out of breath, your body thinks that you're fit enough. But if you're out of breath and whatnot, then your body says, whoa, gee, I need to lay down a few more blood vessels and I need to increase the efficiency of my heart pumping and that kind of thing. So you need to do the extra rep. You need to keep going the extra few minutes on the elliptical, whatever. But in all cases, you shouldn't have pain. If you've got pain, you're just going to hurt yourself.
So how do you distinguish, doctor? And that was very well explained, but how do you distinguish? Because there are a lot of, amateurs or new people to the gym and, working out and, trying to get their bodies in tune. How do you differentiate and identify pain versus fatigue? For instance, if I'm doing, let's just say, foot push-ups or leg raises, and I do it for a 30-second count or a 45-second count, and I'm on my third rep, and it's challenging each time. How do I know and determine if I'm experiencing some type of pain? Because there feels pain for sure, or if I'm feeling some fatigue because I've been in my third rep doing this.
So, what happens sometimes is that can make it difficult is that sometimes you'll start working out, maybe you're on the bench, and you do a few reps, and it kind of hurts your shoulder a little bit. But then by the end of the set or by the second set, you don't feel it anymore. So patients come into me and they tell me that, and they say, well, I think I had to get warmed up. So the answer is that's not true. Basically, your body's just making its own endorphins. I'm not sure we totally understand the process or why the phenomenon. But here's what I would say. How do you tell if it's pain? If it's pain when you first start, that's pain, stop. Or use less weight or do it another day. So you've got to feel comfortable from the first rep. So if you feel any discomfort when you start, just don't do it. Skip a couple of days, try it again. Use less weight. But you've got to feel completely comfortable. It is abnormal for you to feel pain at any point. And if you do that, what I just said, you feel pain in the first 3 reps of your first set, right? Well, if you do it, next time it's going to be the first 8 reps of your first set. And then next time the whole first set's going to hurt and it'll be the second set. You'll just get slowly worse. So you got to feel comfortable right from the get-go. And if you don't, lower the weight enough, that you feel good. And then and do a lot of reps and slowly increase later.
Dr. Chad Padromas, that's very well said. Now, we're going to ruffle some feathers here real quick, okay, on the Sports Medicine Weekly Update podcast. We're going to ruffle some feathers here. And when I say that, I mean, Cub fans, don't get upset. Don't get upset. But it's something that you can learn from this conversation because we're going to go down south here in Chicago to the Chicago White Sox. And although they're doing halfway decent, both clubs are playing pretty well. They're around the 500 mark early in this 2021 campaign. But for the White Sox, the Southsiders, they lost their starting left fielder during spring training about a week ago into spring training, Eloy Jimenez, who was actually going for a ball over the fence in Arizona. And I don't know if any of you Sox fans can remember. I'm sure you can remember that play, but Cub fans, you can certainly Google it. But as he was going over, and he really had no shot, Dr. Chapadromas, in catching this ball, but for whatever reason, Eloy reached over the fence with his left arm, I believe, to try to make a spectacular catch. When he brought his arm back from over the fence and landed back on the ground, he ended up grabbing this area here on his shoulder. And it turned out that it was a torn pectoral muscle, and he's going to have surgery and be out 4 to 5 months, which was a blow to this World Series bound White Sox team. I didn't think that the extension reaching over the wall was that severe that it should have caused that type of rip, that type of tear of his pectoral muscle. Yet it happened. I speculate, and I'm not a doctor, but I speculate that it had something to do with his weight training, whether he's lifting too much weight or doing something that he maybe overextended and should not have been doing. When you heard about this injury and your expertise and your knowledge in this area, what were your thoughts?
Jerry, I think you're probably spot on. It's really interesting. So I see these every once in a while. It's not a common injury, but I see them, and you can repair them. Sometimes you can repair them even after chronic tears, and the results are not bad. But everyone that I've seen up until Eloy Jimenez, and another one I'll tell you about, had been from somebody doing a bench press or a push-up. Mm-hmm. And usually it's called an eccentric contraction, meaning if you can imagine a bench press, it's when the muscle's getting longer. So it's not when you're pushing the bar up, it's when the bar is going down. And there's speculation as to why that might be. So what happens when you weight train, muscles have a rich blood supply and they get stronger. So muscles attach to bones via tendons. So the muscle turns into an attachment and goes to the bone. So tendons have a poor blood supply. So while muscles can get injured, but if you exercise, you get more blood flow, you get a little stronger, maybe a little bigger. The tendons over time, with a lot of use, tend to get damage. So, people who do a lot of jumping can tear their Achilles tendon, other, tendon, things like that. So my point being that if you're working out heavily, and I don't know if he does or not, like on the bench or push-ups, that tendon can slowly be degenerating. This won't happen when you're 17, and I'm not sure how old he is, but it can happen at 25. So the thing that's interesting to me, though, is I had never seen one occur without like a bench press equivalent mechanism. And, it's ironic, right about the same time, it's actually a few weeks before, I had a patient come into the office, and he was a cricket player, actually, and he was doing this throwing motion where you circumduct your arm kind of with your elbow a little bit straight, and he felt pain. Mm-hmm. Usually that's like a strain of your rotator cuff, and it gets better and whatnot. And I examined him, and to make a long story short, he had also ruptured his pectoral muscle. And I have to tell you, I almost missed it because that history is very uncommon. And also, this patient was kind of a bigger patient, and so the anatomy is obscured a little bit. You get a little bruising under it, but it can be kind of harder to tell. And so I thought, wow, that's interesting. After 35 years of doing this for a living, and it's not like I see this every day or every month. I don't. But two of them here with similar motions where your arm is kind of circumducted around your body without apparently sort of the bench press mechanism. So what does that mean? I don't know. For me, heightened my awareness of it for sure. Maybe working out heavier. I don't know, but it's unusual. And I guess, for the audience, so that's less than 1% of the people that present with shoulder pain. Almost always it isn't that. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, if it's just kind of something to keep in the back of your head. The other thing, we're talking about working out. Let me just say in that regard, those of you who are inclined to do bench presses, bringing the bar down is probably the most common way to hurt it. So if you're lifting with free weights on a bench, to our listening audience, viewing audience, I would say always make sure you've got a spotter. There was a well-known college football player some years ago who was said to have almost decapitated himself because the bar was coming down and it ripped, and so the bar came way down, came down onto his neck. Fortunately, he was okay. So, if you're using a seated chest press or if you're using a machine, you don't have that risk. But I know a lot of purists like to do free weights. Free weights are great. But, for that reason, if for no other, make sure you've always got a spotter.
Yeah, you certainly want to make sure you got that. And, there are a lot of people out there, they want to get, they're in shape for whatever reason. Some guys may want to show off. Some guys are getting ready for, the upcoming season, during the off season, whatever the case may be. But if you're lifting weights, and you make a very valid point, Doc, especially with the free weights, you want to make sure when you're bench pressing that you do have a spotter, because I know not so many guys, but I know of guys who tried to do it on their own. I've even done it on my own, but I was smart enough not to load up the bar, with excessive weight that I wouldn't be able to get it back up. But I know guys who have put, a lot of weight on a bar and tried to test themselves by themselves. And when they go up and they can't handle it, and they come down, they can't get it positioned back onto the bar. And again, it falls on their neck, and, God bless them, everything worked out okay. But you want to certainly make sure that you always have a spotter, just to be on the safe side, for sure. Dr. Chad Padromas, Sports Medicine Update Weekly Podcast. Talking of weights and talking of getting in shape and exercising, I've recently started, training, not boxing, but working out, as a boxer's regimen. And there are practically no weights involved at all. Do you recommend that type of workout, from sit-ups to pull-ups to crunches to push-ups to whatever the case may be, without any weight work at all, to get your body in shape and up the par?
I don't, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Those workouts have gotten popular, whether it's CrossFit or other things, and the thought goes, weights are sort of artificial. It's more natural to do a push-up, your own body weight, a pull-up, your own body weight. It kind of sounds holistic. But here's the thing. The worst thing you can do if you're working out is only work out at a high level of resistance. Generally, you want to work out, do a warm-up. We tell people 10, 30, 20. Do a warm-up, 10 reps, easy, just to get vasodilation of the muscles, get blood flowing to the muscles. Second set, do 30 reps. So do as much weight as you can get and do 30 reps. But the thing is, that repetition is good for the muscle and conditions it. Third set, do 20 reps. So here's the thing. Most of us, when I was younger, I didn't used to do that. I was on a bench trying to push a lot of weight, so I'd do 5 or 6 or 7 reps and just push myself hard. But it's a good way to get hurt. So here's the thing. Push-ups for most of us are pretty difficult. And, we're not just ripping them off. I mean, there are people who can do it. So the problem with push-ups is that it's an inherently high-resistance exercise. So in my opinion, you're far better off to do a chest press, probably a seated chest press, because you can vary the resistance. Ditto with pull-ups. I mean, pull-ups are even harder than push-ups.
Right.
And so same thing. I think you're far better off to do a lat pull down with weights so that your first set is low resistance, then you go to medium resistance and maybe higher resistance. So the bad thing about these things is, in my opinion, that they're all high resistance exercises. And high resistance exercises are hard on your joints. So I would not recommend it. I've seen lots of people that have just gotten totally messed up shoulders from doing push-ups. Pull-ups probably not so much, but doing more reps, the reps condition the muscle, they increase circulation to the muscle, they improve endurance. So doing something where you can do at least one set with a lot of reps is just better for you. Now, as to the other stomach crunches, I love stomach crunches. So doing stomach crunches, I think is just the best thing in the world. And we have one on our website. It's called 90-90 stomach crunches. You lay on the ground. If you can imagine, put your thighs up, put your feet in a chair, bend your knees 90 degrees, your hips 90 degrees, hands behind your head, bring one elbow to the opposite knee and down, do the other way. So I do a few hundred of these, when I work out every couple of days. And there's nothing better than working your core. So I think, for your core, doing that kind of stuff is great. Okay. But I think that for upper body, chest, weightlifting, I think it's safer and you can get greater gains if you're doing something where you can adjust the resistance.
Wow, that's great to hear, Doc. Again, I know there are a lot of people that, and there are a lot of boxers. I mean, there are a lot of people that go to this gym around the country, and they're not using weights, and they're using their own body strength. Some of the exercises and workout, things that they're doing to strengthen their bodies and better their bodies. So that's great information that you provided with us. Now, I got to ask you this as well, because I don't know if you called it a trend or a fad or whatever the case may be, and I don't have mine here with me, but there are the bands now that are being used in workouts, and it's been promoted that, you take this band and there are different levels of strength with these bands, and you can work out 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day, and you can do some curls with the band. You can do, some extended presses with the bands. You can do all sorts of things, and it's a 10-minute workout, and it's supposed to, and it seemed like it works. I got to ask you, what do you think about the bands?
So two things. The bands are fine because with bands, as you say, you can get bands of different resistance. They have tubing of different colors, whatever, and Bowflex kind of things, So I think the bands are fine. Personally, I think they're a little harder to use than just going to a gym and rotating machines, but I think they're fine, the bands. Okay. What isn't fine, it depends what your goals are. If your goals are to get stronger or to build muscle mass or even to maintain significant muscle mass, you should not do them every day. And the reason is when you do them, you're kind of tearing down muscle, if you will. Right. And your body senses that. And we think at least that's a signal to build new muscle. Right. So, I mentioned before overload. You've got to work out hard to get stronger. If you work out hard and you do it every day, you're just going to get. So, for upper body weights, you should do it no more often than every other day. I would say I do it twice a week. I do elliptical Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, and I do weights and core Sunday, Thursday. And if you work out hard, that gives you recovery time. There are people that are really into it who will do, even once a week. But if you work out too infrequently, you tend to get sore. If you work out too frequently, you tend to, break down muscle. So, so doing it every day just to maintain a basic level of fitness is okay. It just depends how serious you are about it. My goal is to maintain a significant level of muscle mass as I get older. So I push myself pretty hard. And I can't do that if I'm working out every day. So I think an ideal way to do this is 3 days a week, every other cardio. For example, I love elliptical, stationary bike, maybe running if it doesn't bother your knees. And then every other day, upper body and core. I do twice, 3 times is probably okay. And then so 3 of upper body and core, 3 of cardio, and then on the 7th day you rest. Right. But every day. So if you do it hard enough to do any good, you're going to get hurt. And if you do it easy enough to not get hurt, I don't think you're going to do a whole lot muscle wise. I mean, it's better than nothing. Don't get me wrong. But you can work out. I'm 67, and I don't work out like I did when I was 27. Right. But you can work out pretty hard as you get older. I mean, my hero is Jack LaLanne. He was in his 90s and he was working out hard, and then he passed. But But every day is too much if you want to work out hard.
Yeah. I try to do like upper body Monday, Wednesday, Friday, lower body Tuesday, Thursday. Yeah.
Great, man. Yeah.
And that's great. So the question is, and we talk about I'm 58 years of age, and sometimes my mindset tells me, to push myself like I did in my 20s and maybe 30s. How do you offset your mind, because your body is only going to allow you to do so much? How do you offset your mind or reprogram your mind to incorporate a workout that is suitable for your body?
Tips. So again, when I was younger, I just was trying to push as much weight as I could.
Sure.
And never got as strong as I wanted to get, but I tried, right? And so I'll tell you though, people who do push a lot of weight are likelier to get arthritis in those joints. And I see it. I'll see a guy who's 50 and got a few patients, ripped, looks great, big and strong, lean, and he comes in shoulder pain, and I get an x-ray of his shoulder, and he's got arthritis. So we think that comes from high peak loads, meaning, and that's one of the reasons. So I tell people to work out differently. If you're 20 and you want to work out real heavy, okay. But as you get older, you're better off to do more reps, less weight, for a couple of reasons. One of the main ones being that it tends to preserve your joints. So I think working out real heavy weight, that's why I said this 10, 30, 20. I do as much weight as I can do and get 30 reps, and then as much as I can do and get 20 reps. So that's less weight. I can do more weight if I'm only doing 7 or 8 reps. But the more reps kind of protects me from myself a little bit, because I just don't do as much weight. So that's one thing that I think's useful. And then with cardio, it depends. You've got to make sure you don't have a heart problem, one thing or another. But you can play with your heart rate and, get your heart rate up high. I try to get mine up to 100%. Actually, I get it above 100%. Theoretical heart rate maximum is 220 minus your age, more or less, but you can figure out what it is. And then, you don't have to go a long time. In fact, if you go a real long time, you tend to waste muscle mass. So that's why if you see these marathoners, they're always real skinny, or ultra marathoners. So I mean, I go 15 minutes really hard on an elliptical, really fast, get my heart rate up way high, higher than my theoretical maximum. And it's tiring, but it's only 15 minutes. So doing that, you can get yourself in great cardiovascular rate. You can watch your heart rate drop. Mine's about 48 now, and to me, it's like a game. I just, I remember Bjorn Borg had a heart rate of 44. I thought that was pretty cool. So normal heart rate 60 to 100. Women trend about 5 beats faster than men. So when I really started doing the elliptical hard, I got down to the 50s. I thought that was cool, and down to 48. I don't know if it's going down any lower. I don't care. But my point is, it's a training effect. But I only do 15 minutes. If you do it for 30 or 40, your body will adapt. So if you're doing it for a real long time, your body says, this guy really wants to be an endurance athlete, so I'm going to get rid of muscle. So the body will start to waste muscle mass. So if you'd like to have reasonable muscle mass and reasonable cardio, getting your heart rate up for 15 minutes is plenty if you go hard. So this is a little different. A lot of people will get on an elliptical for 45 minutes or a bike for an hour, going medium pace. That's fine, but you don't, again, it's the overload principle. You don't tend to improve your fitness unless you overload yourself and unless it's really hard. So, and if you do that, 45 minutes is probably too long, both for boredom reasons and because it's hard in your body and because you can waste muscle mass, So that's what goals are. But your resting heart rate is a good index of, not the only one, of cardio fitness. And you don't have to do it for a real long time. So you get into a balance between preservation and fitness, right? And so in my case, I work out twice a week. We've got a whole workout on our website, actually. It's iosmoc.net. 5 exercises that work out every muscle in your upper body, 3 sets each. So, it's a moderation thing. You have to do it with intensity, but without pain. But you don't have to do it for a real long time. And the older you get, you really need to be careful that you don't make yourself break down.
Yeah, I'm learning that myself because I do the bands and I get a little twinge here in the old elbow here. So, but no, you're absolutely right. Just do it in moderation and do it at a pace that is comfortable for you. But you can also see some progress and some results. Doctor, it's always a pleasure to get an opportunity to chat with you on a weekly sports medicine update. You already gave us an eye shot, but again, if anyone wants to find any more information or learn anything about anything in the world of sports medicine, how do they find you?
So our phone number is 847-699-6810. We're open 9 to 5 every day. Got a terrific staff. Real people who will talk to you as opposed to a phone bank. So happy to help any way we can.
I love that. A real person on the other end of the phone. Dr. Chad, for joining us, thank you so very much. Hey, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the week, and we'll talk to you again on a Sports Medicine Weekly Update podcast. Take care, my good friend.
Sounds great. Thank you, Jerry.